I'm John Hanna for CDTV.net in New York, and we have Andrew Brodkey, the CEO and President of Pan American Lithium, joining us from Tucson, Arizona. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, John.
Sir, first off, why don't you tell us a little bit of background about your company?
Pan American Lithium is an exploration company in the lithium business. We have our projects principally located in the country of Chile in South America. They are all lithium brines projects, brines meaning that you've got lithium, potassium, and other light metals inside of water. It's not a traditional type of a mining project. It's a lot different than a hard rock mining project, but that's good for our industry because these are very low-cost projects, comparatively speaking, when put up against hard rock mining projects. You do find lithium in a hard rock project, lithium in muds as well, but our projects, which are all brines projects, have the potential to be the lowest cost types of projects around the world for the development and production of lithium metal.
What are we talking about with regards to the cost and the return on the actual production?
The cost side of the equation is, for a brines project, much, much cheaper than using traditional conventional mining methods to produce lithium. The normal hard rock mining operations, which you would find most easily in the copper industry or the gold industry, use a lot of energy. There's drilling and blasting and running mills and concentrators and other process equipment to ultimately get to the refined metal that you're after. But with a brines project, you're simply removing the water. It's by some method of evaporation or some method of separation, chemical separation of these interesting elements, mostly including lithium and potassium, from the waters. So it's a much easier process, much less energy intensive, and offers the opportunity for far lower costs. To give you an example of what we're talking about, generally speaking today, the lithium cost curve looks something like this. The hard rock projects are generally about $5,000 a metric ton, a cash cost to produce 1 ton of lithium carbonate. That's the type of lithium that goes directly into batteries, which is the biggest growing sector of the lithium consumption side of the industry. So that's $5,000 a ton for a hard rock project. For a brines project, we should be able to do about half that cost, if not lower.
Battery is one of the top use for lithium, right? What are the other other use for lithium aside from battery? Are we talking about solar panels now? The electric battery for cars? Are we talking about batteries for cell phone? What kind of batteries are we talking about here? And the other uses for lithium?
The traditional uses for lithium, before they have been incorporated into batteries, are relatively well known. Lithium is used in solvents and greases and lubricants. It's also been used traditionally in the making of ceramics and glasses. That section of the sector, that portion of the lithium industry is growing, but maybe at a rate of about 5% a year. The battery side of the business, which includes the advent of lithium-ion batteries for power and storage purposes, has been growing much, much more quickly in recent years, probably at an annualized growth rate of between 25 and 30%. And there's a reason for that. Every time you pick up your personal computer or your cell phone or your iPod or MP3 player, they almost all now exclusively use rechargeable lithium batteries. The biggest, and that sector is certainly growing, and within the lithium battery portion of the business itself as well, you see very, very high growth in the lithium, in application of lithium-ion batteries to power electric and hybrid electric vehicles.
Can you define the market for lithium right now? What's the size of the market?
The annualized consumption of lithium, and these are 2009 figures, is roughly 100,000 metric tons of lithium carbonate. And again, that's lithium carbonate is not pure lithium, but it's lithium in the form that is incorporated into lithium-ion batteries. So that's 100,000 tons globally per annum as of 2009. That number is expected to grow by a factor of at least 2, probably 3, by the end of this decade. So to probably 300,000 tons per year by the year 2020, and then perhaps by another several hundred thousand tons per year by the year 2025. So we could see 500,000 tons per year, a growth factor of 5 over the current market by the year 2025, which really isn't that far into the future. The market is dominated today by 4 major international players that have been in the business for some time. Those include FMC Corporation, which is here in the U.S., SQM, Sokimich, which is a Chilean corporation which trades New York Stock Exchange, an Australian company called Talison Minerals, and a German bourse-traded company called Chemetall. Those 4 companies make up the 100,000 tons per year. But the opening in the industry for smaller companies like Pan American is there, as you can see, since most of the forecasters believe that we're going to see a 3 to 5 fold growth increase in the market for consumption of lithium over the next dozen or so years. There's ample room for small adept companies that have good properties like Pan American to make an entry into the business, and that's exactly what we are trying to do.
Where are you now with production then?
Well, production is not imminent for our junior company nor for really any of our competitors, because it takes a bit of time in the mining industry from the inception of exploration at a project to actually bring something into production. Our quickest route to production would be 3 to 4 years from now. And that's a lot shorter than most mining projects. You have to sort of keep it in perspective. A big hard rock mining project where the capital expenditures will be several $billion or more, lead time from start of exploration to actually turning out your first copper cathode or your first gold bar, that could be 7, 8, sometimes 10 years. So when I say 3 to 4 years for a lithium project, it sounds like a long time, but it really isn't, comparatively speaking, in the mining industry. And that's really where we're at. We're in a bit of a race with the rest of the junior lithium industry players to explore our properties, bring them through feasibility, raise the financing to build them, actually build them, and put them into production. Everyone's on about the same time frame. We're not the fastest, we're not the slowest, we're somewhere in the pack trying to develop our projects to bring them into ultimate operation.
So what is currently your properties now? What are we talking about? Was there like a research now with regards to how much mineral you can take out of the ground?
That's the first step that anyone has to do with any of their projects, John. In our case, we have developed an initial resource estimate for the surface brine lake that I mentioned before, and that's at a project we call Laguna Verde, which is in Atacama, Region 3, Chile. That happens to be the location of all of our Chilean projects. Region 3 is about 700, the capital of Region 3 is a city called Copiapó, a city of about several hundred thousand individuals. It's 750 kilometers north of the capital, Santiago, of the whole country. It's easily reachable by road and by plane, good infrastructure, definitely a mining region. Copiapó is a mining city, and all of our projects are located there. In our case, the first project I mentioned, Laguna Verde, has a resource estimate that was developed simply by taking measurements of the lake, samples of the lake. We knew the volume of the lake by taking readings, bathymetric readings, and that last year gave us an initial resource estimate of 512,000 tons of lithium carbonate. And that's a start. The basin that surrounds this lake is much bigger, so with additional exploration, we hope to be able to bring better and larger numbers to the table as we progress on additional work at Laguna Verde. But we have 11 projects, and so it's been a bit of an exercise just to prioritize among these projects and determine which ones are the best. At every one of these projects, though, back to your original observation, our goal is to identify the potential and in terms of actual numbers of resources and ultimately reserves of lithium carbonate and potassium in the form of potash that exist at these projects. And that's only done after exploration at each of these sites.
And what are we talking about with regards to the cost of the exploration? How are you operating right now?
Well, we are covering our costs, and we've just raised some money. We one very, very important notation that I'm happy to report is that yesterday we just closed a financing that came through a strategic partner. The partner's name is POSCO, and POSCO is a New York stock traded multi-billion dollar conglomerate that is based in Seoul, South Korea. They have become our strategic partner. They took a 19.9% stake in our company, and they infused close to $1.5 million in capital. Their desire was to put quite a bit more money into the company, but we didn't want to give up control of the company, and under Canadian law, and we are originally a Canadian company, we needed to keep them below 20%. So rather than take $5 or $8 or $10 million, which they wanted to put into Pan American, we took a smaller amount and kept POSCO at a 20% level, so they aren't technically a control person of Pan American. But they're a wonderful strategic partner. They put money in. They have a preemptive right to keep, as we do additional financings, to keep their 20% level by participating at that same level in those financings. And most importantly, having a strategic partner does a couple things for us. It gives us money right away, which we needed and which we're using for exploration. It brings to the table and alleviates the need for us to find some off source for our ultimate production. In other words, we have now a built-in avenue to sell production of lithium at the point where we actually go into operation. We will enter into some arrangement with POSCO at least one of our projects, and that leads me to my last positive point with POSCO, which is part of our arrangement with them is that we are now investigating and are deliberating where to build a pilot facility that will be expensed using all money and all capital from POSCO at one of our project locations.
Nice, nice. Now, with this new injection of capital, will was that the 3-year time frame you were talking about earlier, or is it going to be like a revised time frame now?
It's probably going to be revised in the sense that we will be making, at least with POSCO, at one of our 11 locations, we'll be putting in a pilot test facility, and that will. It's a little different than the normal route that most of our competitors are taking. The traditional way to bring a project into operation is to first go through your exploration, scoping study, pre-feasibility, full feasibility, and then build your project, and that's the 3 to 4 to 5 years, somewhere in that time range. With POSCO, we will be revising the schedule somewhat because we're putting in this pilot facility, which is sort of an interim step. It really takes you all the way through pre-feasibility. It proves your ability to recover lithium, to use the processes that you've selected, and it takes a lot of the risk out of the equation. On the other hand, it takes a little more time to do it this way, and defers your ultimate full feasibility study, which we would want to accelerate if we were just doing this on our own. But we feel that the trade-off is definitely worth it because the pilot facility itself, which could cost, we've done some preliminary estimates, it could cost in the neighborhood of $20 to $25 million. Don't hold me to that, but that's just what we sort of ballpark. That's all coming at the expense of our strategic partner.
Okay, as the CEO of the company, are you buying or selling your shares, or going to be accumulating more shares of your company within the next 3 years?
Well, I'm definitely not a seller. I'm of the opinion, like most CEOs, this company is tremendously undervalued. We've got wonderful assets in a very, very strong mining jurisdiction, which is Chile. The market is just getting our story. We've just got our strategic partner in finally. We're going to be rapidly accelerating with the pilot project with that partner. And I'm very bullish on this company. I always have been, but I knew that as we started to live up to our promises and the market started to recognize what this company is all about, that eventually we would start to see some appreciation in the shares. So personally, I'm holding everything I have, and I would hope that the market realizes that this is a story that's got nowhere to go but up.
That's Andrew Brodkey, the CEO and President of Pan American Lithium Corporation, joining us from Tucson, Arizona, and I'm John Hanna for citytv.net in New York.